Participants: Alex, inclined toward theism, emphasizes explanation, fine-tuning, math. Order: Jordan, skeptical, emphasizes suffering, hiddenness, underdetermination. Alex, let me start super simply. Everything we see is the kind of thing that depends on other things. Houses need builders, planets need gravity and star-forming processes, and so on. When you step back and ask, why does any of this dependent stuff exist at all? One natural answer is that the chain ends in something that isn't dependent, an ultimate, non-derived source. That's what many people mean by God. Jordan, or the chain, just doesn't have that kind of explanation. Maybe the physical world is the stopping point. Calling it necessary doesn't make it more understandable, it might just be a fancy way of saying that's where explanation ends. Alex, fair? But the end of explanation picture feels arbitrary when the world also looks tuned for life. The constants and initial conditions that let chemistry, stars, and stable structures exist sit in tiny ranges. You can say, well, if there's a big enough multiverse, we'd only ever see a life-friendly pocket, but that pushes the burden back. Why that law space, that distribution? A single designer hypothesis is still a live competitor. Jordan, fine-tuning is interesting, but we don't know the underlying measure or whether there had to be these values. As physics matures, what looks like tuning might become inevitable. And even if fine-tuning favors design a bit, other data can still outweigh it. Alex, like suffering. Jordan, exactly. Think about the quantity and kinds of suffering, diseases in children, natural disasters, long stretches of apparently pointless pain. If a perfectly loving and all-powerful God exists, this world's suffering profile is hard to square with that. Maybe there are hidden reasons, but when you're weighing what's likely, that much suffering leans against theism. Alex, hidden reasons aren't a cop-out if we're comparing finite human insight with an all-knowing mind. Some goods, free will, character growth, deep relationships, need risk and vulnerability. If God's goals include those goods, a world with danger and struggle isn't surprising. Jordan, that reply is possible, but it's elastic. It can stretch to cover almost anything, which lowers its evidential bite. Plus, consider hiddenness. Many sincere people actively try to believe and still don't. If God wants relationship with everyone, why is genuine non-belief so common? That's not about free will to do evil, it's about the basic awareness needed to be in relationship at all. Alex, relationship can be undermined by overwhelming in-your-face evidence too. Think of how people act when they feel coerced. A measure of distance can protect freedom and sincerity. Also, there's non-uniform evidence, transformative experiences, moral insight, historical claims that are strong for some and weaker for others. The picture might be just enough light to walk by, not stadium floodlights. Jordan, but then we're back to an approach that explains both belief and non-belief equally well. If both sides can absorb any observation, the evidence doesn't point strongly either way. That's why I say the rational posture is suspended judgment, fine-tuning and ultimate explanation nudge toward theism, suffering and hiddenness nudge away. Alex, I'd call that mixed, not stalemate. And I'd add one more nudge, the surprising fit between math and the physical world. It's not proof, but it's striking that abstract equations keep predicting new discoveries. A mind-first foundation makes that less surprising. Jordan, or math, latches onto the parts of reality we can systematize, and we call that success. The selection effect is doing work. Add to that natural explanations for religious belief and experience, and the world remains fully readable without a deity. Alex. Yet even if naturalism can read the world, theism can also read it, Sometimes with fewer brute facts, one foundation versus a brute physical totality plus a brute measure on a multiverse. Simplicity isn't always on the naturalist's side. Jordan, depends on what you count. Postulating a designer with knowledge, power, purpose, and perfect goodness is a heavy package. If that package then has trouble with suffering and hiddenness, you've paid a lot to buy new problems. Alex, true, comparative costs matter. Still, if you think there must be an ultimate explanation, and you see fine-tuning as strong data, the cost looks worth paying. If you weight suffering and hiddenness more, you'll feel the opposite. Reasonable people can diverge. Jordan, then maybe the best guidance is practical, be clear about your priors, say what would change your mind, and don't caricature the other side. I'm not convinced God exists, but I can see why smart people think the explanatory upside matters. Alex, and I think the challenges you raise are real enough that humility is the right attitude for believers. Seek truth, do good, stay corrigible, that we can agree on. Jordan, agreed. Even on the biggest questions, good faith reasoning beats easy certainties. Alex, and we keep updating as science and philosophy move. That's the honest way forward.